Welcome to Peace, Love, and Robots. What the heck? That's a podcast about anything and everything and all that is in between. I am your host, Jeremy, and this is episode number 35 for May 19th, 2021. Yeah, I know. The schedule's been weird. I missed 1 week. I recorded late last week, but this time I'm on time. Hey, I might squeeze another one in this week. I don't know. Maybe. Got an idea. I'm not sure. Anyway, this podcast is brought to you by the ads you hear at the beginning and end of the show. So if you listen all the way to the end, I will forever be in your debt. I will owe you like half a cent. But hey, every half a cent counts, right? And you know what? All right, I have the music for a few more minutes until it's done, but I don't have them as a sponsor, but I would love to get them to sponsor me. So this show is also brought to you by Liquid Death. Yeah. Most major bottled water brands are actually just processed municipal tap water. Liquid Death comes from a deep underground mountain source protected by a few hundred feet of stone. The water is tapped right from the source into our bottler, where it goes directly into airtight cans after a fancy purification process that 100% maintains the original mineral profile of the water. And these natural minerals, also known as electrolytes, they aren't just good for your body. They will murder your thirst instantly. You can order Liquid Death straight from their website, or you can find it at 7-Eleven, Whole Foods, and Sheetz, and a bunch of other places. Want to find out more? You can check out their website at liquiddeath.com. There. Okay, I'm done. That's all the plugging I will do for now. I've been thinking an awful lot about legacy these days, about what we leave behind when we die. You know, and with my health, of course, I'm going to be thinking a lot more about when I finally shed the mortal coil, right? Whenever I think about legacy, I think about John Hughes. I know. It doesn't make sense to you. It's weird. John Hughes, well, he's the guy who wrote The Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and even Home Alone. And I know he passed away like 11 years ago, but death isn't the first thing that comes to mind when you, a normal person, not an insane person like me, thinks of John Hughes. So why? Why do I think about him when I think about legacy and death? Because John Hughes, who wrote so many great films in the 80s and 90s, left behind several interesting things when he suddenly died from a heart attack at 59 years of age, including letters to his grandkids to open at specific times in their lives, and over 300 moleskin notebooks full of everything from personal thoughts and theories to caricatures of famous people. He left mountains of material for his kids to go through, and I think that's just plain awesome. He left treasure for them to dig through that will not only outlast him, but it will probably outlast them as well. But what does that mean? I mean, John Hughes, he was this famous, successful screenwriter and director. He made stuff that's beloved by generations of people. But what about a guy like me? What do I leave for my kids? On this podcast and many other places, I've talked about writing and my constant failure to launch, the starting, the stopping, the endless excuses as to why I never did anything. I could talk for hours about that stuff. But what about the stuff that I didn't finish? The projects that sit untouched for years. How do they sift through that? We live in a pretty charmed era. My grandparents were born in 1917 and 1918. If you're doing the math, that's over 100 years ago, a century. I don't have anything with my grandparents' writing on it. I don't even think I've seen something with their writing on it in decades. That entire generation, outside of a few photos, is lost to the sands of time. But we live in an age of hard drives, thumb drives, and piles of paper. I personally have an expandable folio full of writing from years ago that I just can't bring myself to throw away. And why? Why can't I throw that stuff away? The writing sucks. It's not good. I'm ashamed of some of the content I created in my youth. It's that bad or that offensive. Youthful passion and indiscretion aside, the thought process behind not throwing stuff away like that has multiple layers. First, bad or not, it's my writing. It's stuff that I made up out of my brain. Is it some of it derivative of what I was reading or watching at the time? Sure. But it's my writing. It's not someone else's. And it's in my handwriting, which is unique only to me. If my kids get anything out of this pile of stuff, they'll at least know what my handwriting looked like. But it's not just that. Looking at my writing from back then and looking at my writing now and in the future, they'll get an idea of my growth and maturing as a man, as a writer. I have sappy poetry I wrote when I was a moody teenager. I have other poetry from when I was dating my wife. I have, albeit a lot less, poetry that I've written in my 40s. I have stories that I wrote when I was young, stories that I've written when I'm this age, and hopefully, Lord willing, I'll have stories I have written from when I'm old. And all of those things, the trajectory will show my growth, and they'll get a full picture of who I am, or at least a clearer picture. But how do I ensure that all that stuff will be kept, maintained, and in order? I don't have the money to pay an assistant. I could archive it all myself if I wanted to, but that will take time. But how do I do it? Where do I start? I'm considering actually taking a class in museum science. I probably never will. But I'm sure there's a way to keep track of what's in their exhibits at museums. I was once told that most museums have an archive of pieces they just can't fit into whatever they're displaying at the time. There has to be some sort of database system, something that I can use to adapt to my own archive. I just haven't really looked into it. I've actually considered appointing one of my kids, the family historian, where they basically keep track of all of the stuff that we collect over the years. The personal effects, not the personal effects, not affects. What am I doing? The personal effects, the things that are personal, that we've created, that we've made, that are, bespoke by our own hands. I actually have an idea of who that'll be when they get older, because they like to archive their own stuff. But anyway, what would be fun would be to develop that sort of archive technology and market it to others. Not all creative people are John Hughes, but at least if we are trying to be, we can be just as organized or even better. What are you leaving behind, gentle listener? Let me know by giving me a call at 585-371-8986. That's 585-371-8986. Or you can always just send me an email at peaceloveandrobotspod@gmail.com. Get your pen out. That's peaceloveandrobotspod@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you, but remember, keep it clean, since I'll probably share it on the show. Have you had your peace, love, and robots today?